TGR. What's up, guys? It's
Hey, everyone. And it's your boy, Chow. Staggered Ka-chow. What's up, guys?
Staggered
What's up,
Ka-chow.
everyone?
It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. So I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. I, for one, am having a phenomenal day. When Onyx came up to me and digitally, because we social distancing and whatnot, he came up to me and he was like, "We should do this. We should, have like a top 5 of like our favorite games of 2020." One of the things that he mentioned, which I actually think is actually pretty brilliant, given how Spooktober was to go ahead and talk about games that you played in 2020, whether or not they came out in 2020. Just like, hey, this is what we did. This is everything that's there. Like, let's have at it, and just kind of like share our experiences and kind of like our top games for 2020, despite whether or not they came out in 2020, but we experienced in 2020.
Right.
I think it's brilliant, dude.
The reason why I thought about that was because of games like Among Us, right? Experiences that obviously didn't come out in 2020, but were so good. They exploded so much in 2020. And honestly, we're getting to the point with gaming that we have a long history of games, and we have a whole new generation of gamers now that are going to be playing these classics. And, what if this classic becomes your next favorite thing, even if it's, 15 years old, right? So why limit it to this idea of, it's got to be a game that came out in 2020 for it to be on your list? First of all, it's our channel. Right? We do whatever the hell we want. And number two, like, again, a year is your experience on those 365 days. So if you played, for example, like the example that I gave you, if you played Titanfall 2 and you really, really thought that was your favorite game that year, why the hell not put it on your personal list? It's your personal list after all. So, yeah. So the way we did it, like Rudy already explained, we're gonna do any game that we played this year. If it makes it, it makes it, and that's that. It's gonna be top 5, and we're gonna have one runner-up, one that kind of came close to beating, to making the top 5, but just didn't quite get there. So Rudy, let's go ahead and get started, man. I think you should do the honors. Tell me your runner-up for best game of the year 2020.
My runner-up is Astro's Playroom. And yeah, dude, I was sitting there. And so, by the way, this runner-up edition was very last minute. Onyx,
literally like 2 hours ago.
He was like, bro, like there's one that kind of made the cut, but I really want it in there. So we did a runner-up very last minute. And if I'm honest with you, man, like it was such a breath of fresh air to just like get the PS5, boot it up, it be there, and just experience the DualSense in all of its glory.
Yes.
And have really good platforming in the middle of all that. Like
how is this a tech demo?
Yeah.
It feels like a game, like a straight up, $10 downloadable game.
Yes.
It reminded me of two things. You remember when the PS3 first launched with the PS Store? Yeah. And we had games like Pixel Junk Eden. We had not Castle Crashers. There was another. I think there was another Pixel Junk that was kind of similar. It was like an RTS kind of thing. No.
Pixel Junk Monsters.
Monsters, thank you. So it reminded me of like that era of gaming with downloadable games, where it was like these simple, small experiences that kind of showcase new and fun things of the console. It reminded me of that. So it's got this amazing platforming, really good showing off like the technology of the controller, and to top it off, it's a love letter to PlayStation.
Yes, in all its glory.
Many nods. Yeah, so many games. I mean, it was just. I really liked Astro's Player. That's a really good runner-up.
Oh yeah. It was tough because I'm sitting there. I'm just like, crap. Like that. I mean, you guys have seen my list that I've carried around. That I'm like, these are the games that I played in 2020, and I finished. For the record,
very proud of that one.
Yes, I am very proud of that one. So yeah, no, Astro's Playroom for sure. What's your runner-up, man?
Okay, so this is a game that I felt like if I put it on the top 5 list. It wouldn't make sense simply because I've already played it before, but it was such a triumphant return to form for this title that I had to be my runner-up, and that's Demon Souls. The Demon Souls remake was obviously a technical showpiece, right? That game's graphics are arguably some of, if not the best out there as of right now.
Oh yeah.
So. It looks amazing. Bluepoint did a fantastic job. bringing everything up to speed. Had I wished they had done more quality of life stuff, absolutely, but what they brought in was really good. Is it a perfect game? Hell the hell no. The game, first of all, Demon Souls alone by itself is not a perfect game, right?
No.
It was the first of its kind from software, but also Blue Point took a lot of liberties with the art design, and I wasn't a fan of a lot of the changes. However, still a fantastic experience from beginning to end, and it is my first time finishing Demon Souls in 2020. Because remember, I told you the story once. When I played it, I got all the way to the end, and I just didn't go through with the old one. So this is my first time doing that, and it was very interesting. It was very interesting.
Choose?
I didn't even know there was a choice. I kind of I killed the old one.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
you do have a choice.
Oh shoot! I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, you can kill the maiden in black if I remember correctly, because I have not finished it. The time that I finished it was like years ago in the original one on PS5 or PS3, excuse me.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, you could kill the maiden in black, and
I think you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, I did the same thing in my first playthrough. I'm not done with the Blue Point remake, but yes, that is the first next gen game that I've played, and probably the only one that I've played so far that actually feels next gen.
Right.
I don't think that there's anything that's out there right now that feels as next gen-y as that, if that makes any sense.
No. In terms of graphics, I definitely agree. I don't think there is anything as of right now. Maybe Cyberpunk with all the ray tracing and Ultra and all that might feel a little bit next gen-y, but
there's bugs and stuff in that, so I wouldn't.
right.
No, it needed a couple more months.
But yeah, so Demon Souls is my runner-up.
Okay, cool. That's solid. That's honestly like a really, really legit runner-up. Kudos.
Let's move into the top 5. Rudy,
okay.
What's your number 5, man?
Okay, number 5. To Reckner's surprise, The Last of Us 2. Despite the crazy amount of crunch that these developers, because I have to, every time that I mention this game, I have to talk about the crunch and everything, the sacrifice that went into making this game. And it running on PS4 and PS4 Pro. Base PS4.
Almost 8-year-old console.
Yes, and it having like a quarter of the power of the PlayStation 4 Pro in regards to teraflops. It's a technical marvel. It is really beautiful. The I guess you can call it polish from The Last of Us Part 1 to now was like the tweaks in the system were exactly what you needed. AI was phenomenally better. And there were certain quality of life improvements that were there that kind of just made the gameplay a little bit more fun. I still reiterate the fact that the story is the one thing that just, in my opinion, it was just not good. And looking back at the games that I played in 2020, like it's just, there isn't a game that's out there that looks as beautiful, plays as well as it does, and just the audio design and everything that's there is just amazingness. So yeah, that's me.
I mean, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I think the story is the weakest element. When I say it's a bad story, I personally don't think it's a bad story.
No,
I just think the pacing was off. I think a lot of the end game stuff was really overly long. A lot of it could have been cut down, but I really did enjoy my time with Last of Us Part 2. It didn't make top 5 for me though. Okay. So keep that in mind. I'll let you know that now. Spoiler alert, it's not in there. No, but it was still a very, very good time.
Final thing that I want to say about it is that it was like watching Memento without it actually having any sort of payoff, at all whatsoever. Ooh. And like because like Memento was a phenomenal film.
That was.
This was like watching bits and pieces of everything and seeing it, and then it could just kind of be like, what? Okay, all right, sure. And just, it's because it's a game, I guess. I don't know. But that's really how I thought of it in regards to everything. What's your number 5?
This game, when it came out, I was very intrigued, and we were very lucky to get a review copy by the publisher. And that's probably the main reason I played it. And I'm glad I did, because this was the only game this year that got a platinum from me on our review scale. That game is Inmost. It's a very small little game, that did everything to impress me, and that's why I gave it a platinum. If you guys have not seen my review of Inmost, just check it out. It's one of the only reviews that I've gotten really personal because the game did stuff to get me personally invested in its story and its setting, and that's why I put it up here. I really, really loved my time with it, but the reason why it's number 5, and it got a platinum from me, mind you, is because it was so, I almost felt like it was specifically made for my mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So many of the story beats, so many of the thematic like elements of it catered to me because of my life experiences. So I know that this game, objectively speaking, is not going to hit a lot of people's, like, it's not going to hit the same to other people, right, that haven't experienced life the way that I have. Mm-hmm. So that's why I put it number 5. Subjectively, I think it's a phenomenal friggin' experience, but I know that it's going to be limited in scope also because of the gameplay too. It's a cinematic platform, so that's not everybody's cup of tea. However, if you like indies and you want to have something that really hits the emotional bone in your body, play Inmost. It's a fantastic game. Check out my review if you want to, but I would suggest checking it out after you play the game because it's spoiler everywhere. But yeah, Inmost, that is number 5 for me.
Legit. Thank you, Chucklefish, for sending us stuff.
Yes, definitely.
Sincerely appreciate it. But no, dude, that's legit. I enjoyed my time in Inmost. Like, I streamed it, and I'm glad that you did the video, because that explains so much to me. And it's to me, I didn't really follow up in regards to everything, but when you finished everything and you explained it to me, I was like, whoa, this. It's
really deep,
dude. It is a deep story, very, very deep story.
Yeah, I really liked stuff like that too. So it was that's what I'm saying. It was did these fuckers know exactly what to do? Well, let's move on to number 4.
Okay, number 4. This game, when I first saw it, first of all, this was way back, when it was a 3-man team, I think.
Oh.
And
okay.
I immediately fell in love with the aesthetic. And I thought that you were going to be immediately in love with the aesthetic. So for those of you that do not know what I'm talking about, I am talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
I knew it.
This game, you knew the moment that I was like, oh, this is perfect for you, because I've been saying this since the moment that I started playing it. I was like, Onyx, this game is perfect for you. This is it's a weeb status, 100% for you. Not really weeb, because weeb is anime, but still, you get my gist. Yeah. The Japanese culture and references there. Yeah. It is so perfect for you, and I'm glad that you're playing it. Huh?
Oh yeah. Is it samurai cinema in the best of ways?
Exactly. And I personally, I loved it. I loved my experience in it. Despite, a couple of issues that I had throughout my time playing it, it is one of the games that this year felt like a total package. Graphically there, auditorially, in regards to audio, amazing audio. Music was on point, and music hit the right notes at the right times. That is one thing that when you're playing and you get chills when the music hits specific cues in the middle of a scene, whether it's cinematic or not, or you're in the middle of a fight, and it's just I'm getting chills just talking about it. It's so freaking hype, man. It's so good. And then, on top of that, the DLC that was added, I didn't experience it too much personally, but I do know that people spoke highly of it. And the fact that it was free was also really, really well done. I hope to see more of Jin Sakai in the future. I hope to experience more of Tsushima, and just to see what else is going to come down the line from Sucker Punch, man. But it is a very, very well done game. If you've not experienced it, I highly recommend that you experience it. It is a creme de la creme, or what did you say? The creme de la brulee.
Dude, honestly, and I agree with you. I think if I had played it in 2020, it might have made it on this list. But because I started playing in 2021, it might make the 2021 Game of the Year list. We'll see how that goes. But it's really good. It's really good. I really enjoyed. I have enjoyed my time with it. I already put in 14 hours to it, by the way.
Wow.
Really, really enjoying it. It's a good game. I agree with pretty much everything you said. So I can't wait to keep playing it. My number 4 was a game that I did not really want to play. I saw the hype. I saw the accolades coming up. Everyone was talking about it, and I'm just like, I guess I wasn't exactly very interested, but Rudy went ahead and got it for me on my birthday, and I was like, well, Thank you. And now I have it, and now I'm gonna play it. And like an hour in, I was like, holy shit, yeah, this friggin' game, Hades, baby. That's my number 4 game of the year. My God, what an experience! What a friggin' experience it was, from the insane combat loop that you're placed in, from the insane idea of, like, death is part of the experience. And we've played games where death is integral to the experience, like the Soul series. But in Hades, it's a story element in its own. You have to die in order to get better. Like, you cannot beat the game on one go. I mean, maybe you can, right? But you're gonna have no like improvements to your character, no improvements to the mirror, no other weapons. Like, you'd literally have to die to become better at the game. So it's thematically there, and it also literally makes you a better player the more you play. My God, I really loved it. I loved the experience of it, and I cannot wait for more Supergiant stuff. And the fact that they did not crunch, the fact that they took care of their employees, took care of the time, and said, "Nah, we're gonna take our sweet ass time with this game. We're not gonna rush it out." It was an early access for quite a while. They took a bunch of feedback from the community. Like, that's how you make an amazing friggin' game, and I'm so happy I got to play it. Thank you so much for the gift. That's why it's number 4 on my list.
Dude, no worries. It like, when I started playing the game, I was like, you have to experience this.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, and our birthdays are 2 days apart. So I was like, I was like, dude, you play it. Just go for it. I think I gave it to you a day early. I was like, I know it's not your birthday,
you
but
may have. Yeah.
like, here, happy birthday. Just go. So I'm glad. I'm glad that you experienced it, man. Like, it is such a phenomenal game. Such a freaking. So for my number 3, this is a game that I wished that I could have played the prequel earlier than I did, but because I did not, and I played it right before actually experiencing this sequel, I am glad that I got to experience it back to back. Not just because of the fact that, the story's there and everything like that, but because of you could see the advancements in the development, advancements in the gameplay mechanics, advancements just overall in art style, world building, and so on and so forth.
I know exactly what game you're talking about, because that is also my number 3 pick, by the way.
It's Ori and the Will of the Wisps, baby.
Dude, that game is the one game this year that I wish we had actually sat down and reviewed. We didn't review it. I captured like 2 hours of footage. I did an intro for the damn thing. Like, I have everything set up to do a review, and we never frigging did it. But that's okay, because we can talk about it now.
Yes,
what a great game.
Dude, a phenomenal game. A freaking beautiful game. And like, the thing, it's everything that was wrong with the first one, which there weren't that many things wrong with it, they fixed. And like, that to me, it's like the music, the freaking platforming, the combat feels so good. Like, dude, the puzzle aspects, like, literally everything is just so well done. And thank you, Phil Spencer and Xbox Game Pass, for letting me play this game on my PC. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, if I didn't play it on PC, I would have played it on Switch when it came out on Switch.
Oh yeah, totally.
But I'm super happy that I got to play it. Because we played it with the high refresh rate monitors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the game looked fantastic, and like you said already, major improvements on everything. And one thing that I really loved were boss fights. There weren't any boss fights in the first game. It was just the escape sequences. Mm-hmm. And in this game, they incorporated both. You fought the boss first, and then you had an escape sequence after, typically. And they were just as exhilarating as before. The story hit the heart so very much. I'm really happy that Moon Studios was able to make the game what they envisioned, and I really cannot wait to see what they do next. I don't know if there will be more Ori, but if there is, I will definitely welcome it with open arms, because that whole package is pretty much near perfect.
Oh yeah. I believe that they already said that they're working on something else. No,
they might be. Yeah, I and that's why I said, like, I don't know if there's going to be another. I don't know what their plans are. Let them take their time. Yeah. Let them make it, and can't wait to see what happens.
Oh yeah. Totally, man.
Let's go to Number two.
Number two. This is a game that, my God, the level of freaking hype for this game was insane. For a lot of people, they've loved this series for a long time. So me, I have always been like, kind of like an outsider looking in. I've always kind of like looked at it, and I've been kind of like, like I don't know, like, and I've wanted to go ahead and play the game, but I had to wait for the remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake is my number two choice. I think it was before the Game Awards. We did like a rundown, and like I looked at Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was like, dude, this is like such a complete package. I have no nostalgia factor, none whatsoever. I could care less about Final Fantasy VII. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. And I legitimately loved my experience in Final Fantasy VII Remake. So much that I went to Final Fantasy VII to actually play that entire sequence and some afterwards of what happened in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
I love it. Without any spoilers, I cannot wait to see Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 because it's a whole new world.
The future looks bright.
The future looks bright, yes, but I'm legitimately hyped, dude. I cannot wait. Like, it's such a freaking well done game in all fronts. Aside from like Cloud's apartment door, everything else is beautiful. Like, everything else is fine.
And let's be honest, man, talking about that texture, like it was an issue with the architecture, right? The system that it was on just could not run it very well. The engine that they used was just not as optimized as it could have been. It's not even like the game had bugs. It's not even like the game was broken or anything like that. Like, no, I agree with you. Definitely, 7 Remake is a good game.
What's your number two?
My number two is a game that I genuinely did not expect. I had barely played any of the company's games, and I am very glad that I picked this up as almost blindly as I could have, because this became one of my favorite games of this generation. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
Really?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Listen, I have not played very many Vanillaware games. I have barely touched Odin Sphere, and I had, like, I think I played a demo of Dragon's Crown a long time ago. So I didn't have that much experience with Vanillaware games. So when this game comes out, and our friend Rain goes and says, yo, this game is getting really good reviews. People are, comparing it to Nier Automata in terms of story. And I'm just like, hold up. Did you just say this game is being compared to Nier Automata, a tomato? You don't say that around me.
Which Finney needs
without
to play that game.
Me, Finney. But you don't say that around me and expect me not to play that game, buddy. So I did. I literally pre-ordered it day one. Didn't care. I took a risk because I needed to know what the hype was.
Right.
And yes, it 100% delivered. I'm obviously not going to get into the story because you're still playing through it. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that hasn't. But dude, that story, incredible.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about The Last of Us Part 2, and we talk about bad pacing, right? We talk about an issue with them trying to overextend the story, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
Then I look at 13 Sentinels, and every 15 to 20 minutes, you're hit with a revelation, and a revelation, and a revelation. You're just like, how the hell is this possible? How do you continuously make me go gasp, make me audibly gasp in my living room, and then still for 25 hours, almost 30 hours, at the end of the freaking game, made me go, oh, whoa, how? Major kudos to the writers at Vanillaware. Major kudos to the developers, because not only is the story fantastic, but obviously the graphics are incredible, totally hand-drawn. And then the tower defense / turn-based / RTS gameplay that is there in the combat was also really well done and a fresh of breath air. I really love 13 Sentinel. And the fact that it only sold 300,000 copies kind of hurts, but at the same time, I hope that's enough to appease the Atlas gods, and maybe they can give Vanillaware more money to make another game later. But yeah, 13 Sentinels is my number 2 game of the year. If you haven't played it, please do yourself a favor and play it. Fantastic freaking game.
So numero uno.
Number 1.
Numero uno. This is a game It came out of nowhere. I was familiar with this developer. I played games from them in the past, but none of them really stuck. It was stuff that I got either gifted to me, and games that I was like, yeah, I'll play a little bit of it, and they just never stuck. You know how Final Fantasy VII Remake, it hooked me. I was like, bro, I want to play this, and I want to continue playing with this. I want to see where it goes, and
right.
So the games that this developer went ahead and made never had that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden Hades comes out. And Hades, holy crap. What an amazing game. I cannot it's one more run. One more.
Yeah.
Just one more,
man.
And we talk about the Greek mythology and kind of how they play a little bit with words and kind of play with the characters a little bit and their nuances and whatnot. I want to make sure that the beauty behind everything in that game, the design, the gameplay, the freaking overall just amazingness, it has to be presented. You mentioned that there was no crunch in this. This is because it's been Supergiant Games they have been self-publishing since Bastion. WB Games published Bastion, and then they took the profit, reinvested it in the company, and started pumping out games. And not in the sense that they're a factory, but in the sense that they're hey, we're going to reinvest in ourselves, and we're going to make a good game.
Transistor was also a fantastic game.
Amazing game. So in comes Hades, and just that loop, the way that it ties into the story, where death is a mechanic, and you progress from there. It's they deserve all the praise.
Hades definitely this year deserved it. It won Rudy's TGR Game of the Year 2020.
TGR Game Award of the Year.
Okay. So then my number one pick, I'm sure everybody knows what it is. I've talked about it before. Nico sure as hell knows what it is. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I do have nostalgia with Final Fantasy. I do. I played it a long time ago. It wasn't my first Final Fantasy. The first one was Final Fantasy VIII that I played on my old ass Windows 2000 PC. And then a few years later, when I had my PS2, I was able to buy a bunch of old Final Fantasies, which one of them was Final Fantasy VII. I actually still have my greatest hits box somewhere over here. And I loved it. I loved the game. It was a great game. I still liked 8 more. That's probably just me being subjectively dumb, but I liked it more.
Me too, but yeah.
But you know what I mean? 7 does a lot of things really, really well and better than 8.
Oh, of course.
And then the compilation came out of Final Fantasy VII, and I loved Advent Children. Never got to play Before Crisis because that was a Japan-only mobile game. I didn't play Crisis Core either because I didn't have a PSP, but I know a lot of the story. And I actually had pre-ordered Dirge of Cerberus. I'll never forget this. I had pre-ordered Dirge of Cerberus, and the day that it came out, I saw the awful reviews, and I canceled my pre-order, and I think I bought something else. I forget what the other game was, but I literally canceled it because it was oh, I don't want to play this game, man. This looks awful. So didn't play Dirge of Cerberus. Okay. But I have still held Final Fantasy VII close to me. I've really liked Cloud and Company's story, whatever. And 7 Remake coming out, and like you said, immediately hooking you, right? And you have these expectations, and without spoiling stuff, but somewhat spoiling stuff, you have these expectations of what the story is going to be. You have these expectations of what this remake is going to be. You don't expect the game to be remade. You expect it just to be a remake of the game. But no, Final Fantasy VII is getting remade, baby. And the fact that they were able to do all of this with all these layers, leading to all these theories, right, that we ourselves started dabbling in, that we ourselves talked about in our review, right? Final Fantasy VII reignited to me the flame that I had, the passion that I had towards Final Fantasy. And now with part 2 coming sometime in the future, 16 also coming in the future, holy crap, I feel like I'm back in the PS2 era where I loved Final Fantasy. It's been so long that I've put a Final Fantasy in the top anything, And here's 7 Remake taking my top spot because that game was made with love and with a respect for the fans. Now, some fans fucking hated the changes, and I get it. I genuinely get it. It's a very scary thing. But for people that are invested in the story and are okay with the shenanigans that they might pull, dude, we're all in. We are so into whatever the future brings in, man. So in. Final Fantasy VII Remake, baby. Number 1. Onyx's 2020 Game of the Year.
The remake just was like, whoa, what? They're doing this? Like,
Yeah,
that's cool.
it's like,
That's
oh,
cool.
I gotta play the original now to see where the hell is it going. Because,
Exactly.
And yeah, that takes balls, man. It's a very big risk to do something like that. But the truth of the matter is, there was just no way they were gonna hit the magic that was there 20 years ago. It's just impossible. It's impossible. So why try to do the same thing again when it's just gonna be either torn apart by the hardcore fans? It's gonna either be said like it's just not as good, or too different. Like this isn't the same Cloud and team that I remember. So why, right? Instead, it did something way more risky, and in my opinion, it paid off handsomely. So now it's a matter of time to see where it goes from here. And to cap off our 2020 Game of the Year discussion, 2020 ended pretty well for gaming. Gaming did okay. The world is still on fire.
Yeah.
But 2020 was a pretty solid year for gaming, and it makes me excited for 2021. I really can't wait to see where the next gen consoles finally take off, where we start seeing these really cool next gen games, as well as what the future brings for Nintendo. So I'm really excited for 2021, and I hope that it gets slightly better for everyone.
Yes. I am very hopeful for 2021. And Q1 is going to be interesting for us, to say the least. There's a lot of games that are coming out, and I know, but yeah, I do agree with you, man. I'm hopeful for the future. I cannot wait to see what else is going to come our way, and yeah, man, good times ahead.
Indeed. So, guys, thanks for listening to our 2020 picks. This was actually a lot of fun. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah. You want to hunt now?
Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more and stay up to date, subscribe, hit the little bell, and join our Discord.
If you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon or hit the join button below. As always, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.